This week's video and reading, um, not perplexing. Um, it was interesting. It just has me really thinking about the information um, that I watched and that I read. In the first minute or 2 minutes of the video, um, Dr. Paul, like I had to watch it a couple different times. Um, I really liked what he had to say. I just had to really take a step back and process the information. Um, he spoke about the universal standards of thinking, and that he first says that if we're not doing it all the time, then we're not using it. So then we lose it. And so going back to previous chapters about what kind of thinker are you? Are you practicing your thinking? That you have to continue to do these things to be relevant. Relevant was um, a great word in this week's reading. He used it a lot, and the chapter um, used it a lot, going into ethics and separating the different domains. Is ethics relevant to the discussion? It may be your opinion, it may be how you viewed your life, but is it relevant to the discussion? I really enjoyed what he had to say about um, within the universal standards of thinking, um, that thinking is trying to learn, it is trying to communicate, and it is trying to explain. And so when you're looking at your thinking and your processing, are you asking yourself these questions? Are we being clear enough? So he talks about clarity. So are we being clear enough in our conversations and in our discussions so that people can fully understand the point that we're trying to make? The last point about the video that I liked was that within clarity, giving examples, and I know this isn't new, but I think oftentimes we get in our own way. I said that in my video with my mind map or my concept mapped. Um, is that we get in our own way and then we talk to someone and we're able to provide an example, and then it's like, oh, okay, I understand what you're talking about now. Before I had no clue what you were talking about, but within your example, you were clear, you were precise, and you kind of gave a conclusion of what the point of you talking about was. That didn't come out right, but you know what I mean. And so I really liked about like how he talked about examples, um, kind of clarifying your point of view. Within the book this week, um, distinguishing ethics from other domains of thinking, and I think that's something that I want to say Americans we have a huge problem with. We see other countries, other religions, and we naturally assume that it's unethical for people to behave that way. And like I said before, he uses that word relevant. And so is our opinions, our critiques, our judgments, is it relevant to um, what other people are doing in their own um, religious views, in their own lives, in their own cultures? It gave the example of slavery and how it was kind of socially acceptable, and so people really didn't see a problem with it. But was it ethical? And so when when we need to look at ourselves and our judgments, and we need to learn how to separate ethics from that discussion. Just because we have a point of view that we may be able to provide evidence, We may be able to provide facts, but sometimes the two aren't related. And so I think we have to take a step back, and when we get into any discussion, um, not a heated discussion, but when we get into an intellectual discussion, we need to figure out and be able to separate our points of view, and distinguish between ethics, religions, other domains, and that's hard for us, because we've been conditioned to think one way. I don't want to say one way, but we've been conditioned. I'll just leave it at that. And so we've got to figure out if our conditioning is right. And just because we may have strong opinions about something doesn't mean that it's unethical. Those are my takeaways this week. Like I said, I really enjoyed both the reading and the book, because it makes you stop and think about what you yourself are doing in your life and how you perceive things. So thanks. Have a good week, everybody.